On Christmas Eve, my parents gathered everyone around the tree and surprised my brother with keys to a fully paid-off BMW M3, watching proudly as he screamed with joy and hugged them both. Then they handed me a folded letter with my name on it. Inside was a legal document titled Notice of Disownment, with their signatures already dry at the bottom. When I asked what this meant, my mother simply said, "You know why," and turned back to taking photos of my brother in his new car. That was last year. This morning, they showed up unannounced at my apartment, faces pale after hearing what I had done. My mother perched on my second-hand sofa like she was afraid to leave an impression. My father remained standing, the vintage Rolex absent from his wrist. "The trust fund," he said flatly. "Your grandfather's trust fund. You found a way to access it." I poured myself water, taking a slow sip. I didn't find a way. I always had a way. Grandpa made sure of that. Grandpa Elliot knew exactly what kind of people my parents were long before I did. While they showcased Brian's barely passing grades with expensive gifts, Grandpa quietly attended my science fairs. When I won the state mathematics championship, my parents were at Brian's baseball tournament. Grandpa was the only one who stood and applauded. He'd been the only one at my medical school acceptance dinner who seemed genuinely proud. When he died during my second year, they called it sudden. At the will reading, my parents sat smug, already planning how they would spend their inheritance. What they didn't expect was the trust fund. 7 figures, grown from decades of investment, named solely to me. My mother had been livid. "Brian has plans too," she'd insisted. "We'll contest it." Elliot was of sound mind, the attorney replied. He updated this trust 3 months ago with specific instructions. What nobody knew was that Grandpa had created a second trust, controlling 51% of the family business my father supposedly owned. Silent majority ownership, activated only if 2 conditions were met. I completed medical school, and my father turned his back on his children for money. The Disownment papers, signed weeks before Christmas, qualified perfectly. Over the next year, I discovered everything. My father had leveraged the company to collapse, using funds to support Brian's 6-figure VP salary, despite him never completing a project. The BMW was purchased on company credit. Most disturbing, he planned to use my trust fund to start a new venture, leaving the original company and its hundreds of employees to drown in debt. I spent months researching, then walked into the board meeting with Grandpa's pocket watch in my pocket. Effective immediately, I am exercising my rights as majority shareholder, I announced, placing the legal documents on the table. I prepared a new direction for the business, one that returns to the principles my grandfather established. By summer, I'd redirected resources from failing luxury developments to medical facilities and community housing. By fall, I'd eliminated redundant positions, including Brian's. My father received the news via certified letter, the same way he'd delivered my disownment. "The quarterly reports," my father said now in my apartment, his voice hollow. "The leadership changes. It was all you." I nodded. The board was quite receptive when I explained my position. "But how could you?" my mother whispered. "After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me?" I leaned forward. "You didn't pay for my education. Scholarships did. You didn't support my career. You resented it. So tell me, what am I supposed to be grateful for?" My father stood suddenly. "We're still your parents. Not according to the document you had drawn up." I pulled out the disownment notice, preserved in a clear sleeve. "You hereby sever all familial, financial, and emotional ties." Quite thorough. "The company is struggling," he admitted. "We're losing the house. The bank is foreclosing. Brian won't even return our calls." I thought of my childhood bedroom, Grandma's kitchen. Those memories belong to a different family now. "I have positions available," I said. "Project assessment for you. Community outreach for Mom. Not at the top, but somewhere you can do meaningful work. 2 weeks to decide." At the door, my mother paused. "The BMW? Brian wrecked it 3 months after Christmas. Your father took out a second mortgage to replace it." Of course he had. I closed the door behind them. A year ago, they chose to cut me loose. Today, I chose whether to let them back in.